All right, cool. All right, we're going to go to the whiteboard right off the jump. And I want you to draw a line. The line I want you to draw looks just like the one that we have on the flip chart up here. And on the far left of the line is complete failure. And the far right is massive success. All right, and this area in the middle is obviously the middle. Now, we're going to get back to that in just a second, but I want you to start off by drawing that because it's important. It's going to be a part of our conversation. And I'm going to sit off to the side here so you can see that just in case you haven't drawn it yet. Now, I'm in the forward of shift today. The conversation we're having is living in the era of extra effort. Got it? Now, Gary Keller was sharing a story about a conversation he had with his son, John, when John was a junior in high school. This is several years ago. John now actually works with his father, Gary, at Keller Williams Realty International. And here we go.
What page? Sorry.
XXV.
Okay.
It's in the forward.
Okay.
All right, during his junior year in high school, my son John and I were having a father and son one-on-one about achievement. I had asked him to do something and he quickly informed me that he didn't want to do it. Now, those of you who have children can immediately relate. Oh, yeah, I know what that's like. And when I asked him why, he simply replied, "I just don't want to." Of course, my initial reaction was to say, "I didn't ask if you wanted to," but then I got mentally parental and said, "Let me share something with you. John, a lot of people make decisions about what they will or won't do based on whether they want or don't want to do it." I drew a line on a sheet of paper like that back there, okay? I drew a line on a sheet of paper and I continued. I want you to think of the far right of this line as complete success and the far left as complete failure. It's my personal belief that all of us live our lives somewhere in between these 2 points. Now, I want you to know that I've never met anyone who is a complete success. Or, for that matter, anyone who is a complete failure. In fact, I believe most people simply live their lives somewhere in the middle. They're average. Most of us miscalculate what it takes to succeed at a high level, and as a result, we end up getting caught in that midpoint of achievement, that circle in the middle, average. No matter what the motivation for more, no matter the desire of our dreams, the results tend to hover right around the middle of the line. Now, why do you suppose people get stuck there? Now I want you to do me a favor. I want you to think of this line not as failure and success, but I want you to think about it from the perspective of effort. And I want you to think of your life and the effort that you are giving in pursuit of your vision. I want you to think of your real estate business and the effort that you are giving in pursuit of your goals. I want you to break it down to a daily perspective and be honest with yourself and give yourself a grade from 1 to 10. Now, 1 is you give no effort whatsoever. I mean, if you're talking exercise, your idea of exercise is to get in the bathtub, fill up the tub, pull the plug, and fight the current.
Oh my God, sorry.
That's a 1. Or is the effort you're giving a 10? Now, all we can do is all we can do, and all we can do is enough. When we do all we can do. I'm asking, are you doing all you can do? Now, I want you to write your number down. I don't want you to have it up here. I want you to put it on a piece of paper. And I'm going to ask you in just a moment, if you're on Zoom, put it in the chat. If you're in the room, I'm going to ask you, tell me the number. Now, before I do that, that's 5, that's 7. We'll make that 8. So 5, 6, 7, and 8 is there in the middle. Now, what's your number?
Can I ask a question?
Not yet. They get there by making decisions based on whether or not they want to do something rather than whether or not they should do something. In other words, I don't want to do it. I'm absolutely committed 100% to doing whatever it takes. In order to get to the middle of life at anything, all you have to do is what you like to do. The measure of your success in life is in direct proportion to what you're willing to do when you don't want to do it. Here it goes on page XXV ... whatever that is, in Roman numerals. I think that's 28. Boy, I hope I got that right. He's talking about his tour of the United States and Canada after the book was published. Okay, so this would have been 2010, maybe 2011, when the book was republished, and he's sharing this story, and he says, after spending more than a year traveling across the United States and Canada, teaching Shift and interacting with top agents who have read and implemented its tactics, I'm more convinced than ever of this inescapable truth. We are in the era of extra effort. A shift becomes the era of opportunity for those who are willing to do what others won't. In a shift, the effort that got you where you are isn't going to keep you there. If you just came from the era of average effort, then most likely you notice that getting by effort returned getting by results. Look at it this way. In the era of average effort, it was easier to attain an acceptable level of success. You could do little and still get enough and maybe even get a lot. A market shift changes the achievement formula by raising the bar of required effort and lowering the results for average effort. All of a sudden, what you did in the past no longer delivers an acceptable level of success. Now, I want you to think about door knocking with me for a moment, okay? And we're both out door knocking. And before I do that, I want to share a story with you. So 2010, 2011, 2012, somewhere in this previous shift, Monica and I are rebuilding the Dietz team. And I think we're doing pretty good, but we're not doing as well as I thought we were doing. I wasn't really paying attention. And we were listing homes and selling homes with me living most of the time here. Average effort. Until I got a call from Monica one day.
she was crying. And she was crying because she had just closed out the month and updated our pending board. And our pending board usually had anywhere between 8 sales pending and 10 sales pending at a time. Now, it took 3 sales to close every month just for us to break even. That was our overhead. And she was looking at what we had pending for the next 30 days. We had 1 sale pending in February and 1 sale pending in March. And she's crying. We're in trouble, John. We don't have enough money in the bank for another 90 days. What are we going to do? Well, one of the solutions was get together as a group and refocus on that gap and what needs to be done in order to close that gap, Nick. So we did, right? And it became crystal clear that we needed to have a new standard, Juanita, for listings taken and for contracts pending. And that's the day that it was a standard for us at that time that we list no less than 10 homes a month. And it was a standard that we have 20 sales pending at all times. Standard, because some fall apart, they don't appraise, they don't finance. In order to close 7, 8 sales a month, which was the goal, remember we had to close 3 just to break even, we needed 20 sales pending. You with me, Nick? We also had to look at either laying people off or finding cash. We sold a car, and Monica sold every single piece of jewelry that she owned. Pain, including all of the gifts that I had bought her when we were dating. All of the gifts that I had bought her in our early years of being married. And I woke up every day knowing that my wife had to sell her jewelry because I wasn't doing my job. Now, it's 30 days later, and I'm out knocking doors, and you're out knocking doors. And I'm knocking doors with a 10 effort, because I will never, ever, ever allow myself to feel that way again. I will never, ever let my wife down again. I will never have to face my wife in tears who's selling her personal belongings so we can make payroll and pay somebody versus laying them off. I'm out knocking doors with 100% effort. And you're out knocking doors here with 50% effort. Asking, why am I not getting the results that I want? Well, the reason you're not getting the results that you want is because you're out doing the work with 50% effort versus 100% effort. Your why is to buy a vacation home. Your why is to buy that new car, to go on that vacation, to buy a new expensive watch, whatever it is. You're never going to get out of here if that's your why. You're never going to find your 10 if that's your why. Your why has to be bigger than that in order to operate at a 10. Now, I'm not saying you won't see results, because you will, but you won't live in an era of extra effort, not for an extended period of time. You might for a day, you might for a week, maybe even for a couple, maybe even for a month, but eventually the pain will become too great and you'll come back here. Now, if you're working to save your family, to save your home, if you're working to never be broke again, then there is no pain that will cause you to work with less effort. You want better results? It's easy. Put in more effort. You're not getting the results you want? The answer is because you're not putting in the effort. It's not the market's fault. It's not. There's too many real estate agents in South Florida. It's not the economy's fault. It's not the government's fault. It's not inflation's fault. It's not interest rates' fault. It's your fault. You're not putting in the effort. You want better results? Flip and put in more effort. All right, talk to me.